Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I have a book review for you all, and it is John Gwyn's The Shadow of the Gods. This is the book that I know that we're not supposed to judge books by their covers, and if I understand correctly, that phrase comes back from really like the 17 and 1800s, where books were very much bound with durable, boring covers so that they could protect the pages. I don't think that really carries on too much in modern day because with a cover like that, all you want to do is judge it, and not judge it for a bad reason. Judge it as, yeah, I want to know what's happening. And how does that little dude find himself in this situation? That is why I picked up the book, knowing that it was obviously a very, very popular one, and John Gwyn is certainly an author known for bringing the world of Vikings and the world of Norse mythology to the page. I picked this up and have been excited to read it since I purchased it. And I gotta admit, it did not live up to the hype for me. But before we get to that, who is John Gwyn? Well, before becoming a writer, he studied and lectured at Brighton University as a prof. And he has a pretty wide variety of talents and interests. He loves music, and he played double bass in a rock and roll band. Probably early on, working through wherever he could. He actually worked at a soap shop, so he packed soap in a soap factory. He dug ditches for landscaping crew, and really is just doing whatever needed to be done in order to provide and in order to make a living. Now he's doing absolutely what he loves, which is, again, bringing the world of the Vikings and Norse mythology to the reader. He does reenact Viking battles and Viking attacks and different elements of Viking culture. And he lives with his family, and they have a lot of different animals. So I think he's kind of living out what as close to the Viking lifestyle as he could. He travels around a ton. He is doing so many unique and interesting things. And yes, with that reenactment, he's got his sons interested in it now. And so his personal website said he can be found standing in a shield wall with his 3 sons about him. And so, yes, you can tell he loves Vikings. He loves that mythology, and he knows what he's talking about. The Bloodsworn saga, which this is book 1 of the Bloodsworn saga, was inspired by books like Beowulf and Ragnarok. And this world is filled with mercenary bands who are traveling around trying to find glory, trying to find honor and prestige and wealth. And when they clash, battles ensue and death surely follows. The Shadow of the Gods won the 2021 Stabby Award for the best novel of 2021. And that's sort of a Reddit fan community-driven vote and competition. And so those that are able to win this Stabby Award very much wear it as a badge of honor. The community that loves this type of literature has voted them the best. And John Gwyn won it for this book in 2021. Some other works that he has are very similar in the genre and in the flavor. He has a series called The Faithful and the Fallen. That was his first series. His second series was called Of Blood and Bone. And then, yes, the Bloodsworn series, the Bloodsworn trilogy. So what is the plot of book 1, The Shadow of the Gods? Well, as I mentioned, traveling bands of warriors roam the countryside, and they are doing what good Vikings do, which is try to find legendary status for themselves in the songs and the tales and the stories of their people. Our book follows 3 primary characters. We have 3 POV characters. The first is Orka. She is a mother, a wife, a huntress. She has a sordid past and will do anything to protect her family and the violence from the violence that the land seemingly has at every single turn. We have Elvar. She's a female warrior who rejected her upbringing of wealth and privilege and joined one of these warring bands called the Battle Grim. And she now fights alongside those men and women. And yes, she is pursuing renown and battle fame. And finally, Varg. He's a runaway slave, or a thrall, as they're called in this series. And he made a blood oath to avenge his sister's murder. And in order to do that, he tries to find out, seek out, sort of, not a witch, but certainly a magician in this world who can perform a magical act which will allow him to be able to identify his sister's killer and avenge her. Along the way, he does get connected to and welcomed into, in part, this very famed warring group called the Bloodsworn. They are mighty warriors, and each of the characters is sort of fleeing something, sort of pursuing something. For Orka, her son has been captured and her husband has been killed. Slight spoiler there for you, but she doesn't know where her son has been captured to or why. So that is her journey. For Elvar, she is journeying to the famed land of the gods, Ostereth, if I'm saying that correctly. And so, the legends of the ancient gods who fought and killed one another and left behind, allegedly, and according to tradition and legend, so much wealth and so much of treasure and acclaim. Her group, the Battle Grim, are trying to go to these famed lands of the gods and retrieve that treasure. And then finally, Varg, yes, he is trying to avenge his sister, but what he does is he finds a family among the Bloodsworn who trust one another and who support one another, and that's something that he has never had and has to grow to actually accept that he is worthy of that and that this is actually true. Now, unfortunately for me, this book did not connect with me for a number of reasons. If you like books of a lot of characters, seemingly similar bad that happens to them, and sort of we're finding out where we're going as we go, you're going to love this. Now, there's some things that I really did enjoy about the book, and so I don't want to sell it short. Vikings are super cool, obviously. Who doesn't like Vikings? Well, the people that the Vikings attacked. But for us, Vikings are super cool. I resonated with Varg's storyline the most, just seeing how he had escaped and, yes, was welcomed as a warrior in his own right into the Bloodsworn. I loved his training scenes. I loved him getting acclimated to where do I fit in this group that knows what they are about. Where do I fit in here? I liked how Orka became a mother and a mentor figure to two brothers whose father is killed. She sort of herself struggled to be a mother to her son. She was very much the hardliner. And you see sort of her be able to experience these sort of motherly instincts in small parts with these two brothers, Mord and Lift. I really enjoyed that. And I liked the leaders of the Battle Grim and the Bloodsworn, Agnar and Glornir. Those two I thought were very similar in who they were as people, as characters, in their motivation. And I liked how they were strong leaders. They were certainly elusive. They certainly had their own agendas that they were fighting for, but they knew how to bring together a group of misfits, a group of soldiers, a group of warriors who needed to be corralled and led. And I thought Agnar and Glornir were good examples of that. So again, those are all character-driven things that I really liked about the book. And that's one of the things that I struggled with, is because the cast is super big. And with these three running storylines, you kind of have three absolutely full casts of characters. And so I struggled to kind of not just keep track of everybody, especially the secondary characters, but just to sort of remember how the interconnection worked when I would transition between chapters. Obviously, I'm not going to tell John Gwynn what to do. He knows way more about this than I did. But my mind almost went to, I kind of wished that there was a book for each of the main character arcs, and then like a fourth book maybe where the storylines connect. Because I felt like there was so much that there could have been written, even in this first book, about the adventures, about the journeys, about the sort of growing teamwork that each of them has. But it was sort of very much condensed into one book. And then, of course, the story will continue in 2 and 3. The idea of the tainted, and these are descendants from the god who are hunted. They are looked down upon as being subhuman. The entirety of the story didn't really explain biologically how that worked. And all we got really was that these are massive creatures. There's a wolf, there's a rat, there's a snake, there's a dragon. And these are massive mythic beasts. And just sort of as they kind of kept being talked about, I was just like, well, how are humans their descendants? We haven't explained any of this. At the very end, we do see how this works, and it sort of made sense. I probably would have really enjoyed that early in the story, so I wouldn't have had to just been like the whole time like, yeah, but how did that happen? So that was one thing that didn't really connect with me. 2 last things. There is a lot of walking in this book. There's a lot of traveling, because that's what Vikings do. They travel around. And so gear up, because you're going to be on the march with them the whole story. The whole story. You are going to be marching, or riding, or rowing, or marching again, sleeping out in a tent, marching again. So get up, gear up for this. And then finally, there's a lot of betrayal in this book, shocking betrayal. But because the characters were so vast, when a betrayal would happen in one of the 3 groups, or maybe one more than the others, I kind of was taken out of the story a bit, because again, I didn't really remember all of the nuances of who they were. And so I felt like I didn't care as much about the characters as I wanted to, or as I needed to really feel the loss that these characters have felt. So I gave this a 2 out of 3, a 2 out of 5. And again, for me, a 3 out of 5 means the book worked. It was a fine book, checked off all the boxes it needed to, and it was a fine book. 2 out of 5 means it's been taken down from that. And for me, it's for some of those reasons that were confusing, or that I just didn't find particularly interesting. This was a slow-paced book. And so I gave it a 2 out of 5. You may disagree, but that is my take on The Shadow of the Gods. I don't know at this point that I will continue with the series. I may in the future. Number 1, do you agree with my assessment? Number 2, books 2 and 3, is it different? Do we get more characters? And should I continue is my ultimate question. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying what you are reading. If you're interested, you can like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue to read through these novels, explain them, talk through them. Something, though, that I think is important with books like this is how much a community makes a difference in someone's life. You've got 3 people here that have a lot in their lives, and each of them needed other people. And I thought what John Gwynn did do well is show that even these rough and rugged warriors can still connect with others, still need friendship. They need love. They need belonging. So not all for loss. The book didn't work for me. It might for you. Thanks so much. We'll get back together in the next video.